I had acid fell on my legs. I was very obese, depressed, mental health issues and physical issues.
How do you think meditation helps you, let's say, in your day-to-day?
Meditation is not actually focus. Meditation is getting out of focus. That little hints that you get during your meditation is actually self-awareness.
Sahas Chopra is a renowned creator and entrepreneur with over 450,000 followers on social media and growing. He has transformed countless brands, entrepreneurs through impactful video marketing, skyrocketing their followers and their revenue. He's the founder of Squid Media, Viral Hooks, and Boring Doesn't Sell.
If you can go to a new city, new country and start from scratch, the superpower is that you can be anyone. And nobody will give a shit about it.
Yeah.
So one day I became an Uber driver. One day I became a salesperson in chocolate store. There are very few people in your life who understand your pain. And if you have that person, don't let them go. The first loan that I took, I stood up in the random bus and I raised out of strangers.
On a bus?
Yeah. And I was like, holy shit, like people are giving me money left and right. Somebody says, Sahas, take $2,000 from me. Somebody gave me 10,000. Somebody gave me, holy shit, what's this happening? 6 months in the country. I don't even have a credit card limit of more than $1,000. And I'm raising.
Honestly, thank you so much for doing this. I know you have a busy schedule. Like there's no doubt about it. I genuinely thank you for, taking the time and then traveling midday during the traffic
Especially
hours.
During Taylor Swift's concert.
Exactly.
Today is
exactly. Today is?
Yeah.
It's Thursday.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
okay.
tomorrow
I
as well.
wouldn't know. I'm not a Swiftie myself. I don't think I know even a single song from her. So
I just know Love Story.
I know a lot of them, but not from Taylor Swift.
No, back in the day, I remember when I was younger,
Yeah.
a little younger. I don't know how old you think I am today.
37.
Shit. You have done
I done my research, bro.
Tab to I like Taylor Swift a lot.
Okay.
Now it's just I've been out of touch with most of the pop songs and pop culture from that point of view.
Right.
But Love Story was good, and she used to make a lot of heartbreak songs.
Oh yeah.
I don't know whether it's still the same or not, but girls are crazy for her.
So are the guys. Like I know a couple in the office.
Really?
Who were going bonkers like months in advance.
Yeah.
They were looking for like Airbnbs in downtown Toronto, saying that, oh, November is gonna be hot. It's Taylor Swift. I'm like, it's Feb. Like, what are you talking about? And that's the kind of craze which amazes me, but it is what it is. Right?
It is selling for $1,000 a night.
I can imagine.
Even could be more. Like I was just reading something like the last show tickets are selling for $33,000
Wow.
each.
Wow.
It's crazy.
That's 2 real estate deals right there. Maybe one depending on the market you're into, but that's great. So one business that does not go down, I think, is entertainment, and hence proved.
Yeah.
So great. No, but thank you again. Coming through the traffic while the Taylor Swift concert is on tonight, and we know you as you're a brand strategist, a creator, an educator, but let's talk about who Sahas Chopra is, to begin with. Like where you come from, what kind of an education background you had, what kind of childhood you had. So let's start from there.
So, like, I think most of the time whenever I create any content, I think मेरे ना उस पे 2-3 posts are pinned. Is it okay if I speak in Hindi and English?
Absolutely.
Switch in between?
You speak in Hindi, Punjabi, English, whatever
I don't
you
know
want.
Punjabi. अगर आती है तो मैं वो भी बोलता. I'm from Punjab, but वो आती नहीं है.
Okay.
So
I'd like to know how that works.
Yeah. It's strange. I don't know why my
Yeah,
parents,
no.
for some reason, they didn't speak with us in Hindi, but they speak in Punjabi.
Yeah. No, I relate to this because even in my household, although I was born and raised in Delhi, so when the parents and anybody in that age group, they're talking amongst themselves, it's always Punjabi. But when they talk to us, they just suddenly make that switch. So we understand, most of us, I mean, I can speak pretty okay, I guess. But most of my cousins, like, they understand it 100%, but they can't speak.
But I think it was also smart by our parents how they did it, because somewhere I feel that you're able to fit into any culture, even any part of the India, any state that you go.
Right.
Hindi is still spoken the most language in between.
True.
So I think in somewhere that helped me also, but I don't know, but that just screwed my Punjabi altogether. So I'll just say one or two words and it will just go.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah.
But yeah, I was just telling you that even on my content that I've created, created like, I've penned few posts where I've talked about my story. Where did I come from? Like when I was 2 years old.
Yeah.
And, I had acid fell on my legs and I've went through plastic surgeries and everything. And I was like, growing up, I was very obese, depressed, mental health issues and physical issues from that point of view. So, you are that odd guy who doesn't fit in any kind of background. So I think I was a part of that community, you could say. But slowly and gradually, I found my purpose. I found my direction. It took me a lot of highs and lows to understand, who really I am, and that who I really am also changes over the period of time.
Absolutely.
So, like, I think it's only good for some phases that you realize, okay, this is what you are for this amount of phase. Then you have to change it and figure out who the next Sahas is.
Right.
So it's always changing. Whenever somebody asks me, who am I? I'm
evolving.
I'm evolving.
Yeah.
So that's a better way to, I feel that, this is better way to describe who am I right now.
Right, right. And going back to what you said, a kid who was kind of a misfit, right? Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but we kind of come from the same culture. And I know, going in for therapy sessions, going in for counseling, just giving importance to mental health issues wasn't really a thing back then. Like we're talking about 20, 25 years ago. At least in my community, it wasn't a thing.
Yeah, it was more of a stigma, no?
Exactly. Depression kuch nahi hota. Like just go and get to
go
work.
And have ice cream.
Exactly. Go and get ice cream, do your homework, do what you have to do.
Have a chocolate.
Exactly. So this is all BS. There's nothing called anxiety, depression, like those things don't exist. So as a kid, then, did you have to do a lot of, let's say, healing or therapy yourself, or were there any support systems that you could rely on?
I think the reason why it took a lot of time, because you are trying to self-heal yourself.
Exactly.
And this is mostly how it happens in Indian household. That nobody from the outside is going to pinpoint these things, what you are facing.
Yeah.
But you need to realize over the period of time, and you are also not, the environment wasn't built in such a way that you can talk about it to your friends or someone.
Right.
Because nobody would understand that if this is a real problem.
No.
And I think I realized on my own, but couldn't have asked any help from anyone else, because nobody would understand. My friends wouldn't understand, and parents, of course, ye kuch nahi hota, like, but they tried whatever they could understand from their point of view.
Right.
But it was more of a journey that I realized that, okay, so these are the knots, emotional knots, which are making me suffer, making things, so complicated for me.
Yeah.
And I need to unknot them, open them up.
Right.
And meditation helped me a lot. And also during that time, I remember when I was in college, so Art of Living का एक course होता था Yes Plus. And I joined that. I don't know for what reason. I said, okay, let's do it.
Right.
और life में रखा ही क्या है, यही कर लेते हैं. So I did that, and I think that was a really game changer for me to really go within. We're trying to find answers outside. But most of the answers are within. And that helped me to, just extract those answers. Even though I will not get the exact answers to the question that I have, but I felt at peace after meditation, after finding that, the real service is to help other people and you feel better.
Yeah.
So that is a part of a healing process. So I learned that a lot during that time.
And do you still continue the meditation practices?
So I think in the after that 10 years, I left meditation because Delhi ki hawa and life
threatening
life. So, but I restarted, I think 3-4 years ago. Now I'm doing regularly. Meditation has been the most important sathi of my life, I think. It has just made me evolve better. That is what it is.
And this was a topic that I had kept for way out in the conversation. But now I think since you brought up meditation, since you brought up looking inside versus outside for the answers, I also want to talk about, something that you also touched upon in one of your podcast episodes is, manifestation. And it's kind of all interrelated, at least in my head. Spirituality, bol le usko, yeah, we give it any other name. We call it manifestation. We call it, you know, um, a healing process in a way. But it's all kind of blurry in my head. Do you feel it's related? And if so, how do you think meditation helps you, let's say, in your day to day? Not just in, untying those emotional knots, but also in terms of growing your business, getting more creative, excelling in your career.
I think that first of all, आप अपनी लाइफ में कितना हासिल कर लोगे? Like you have to step yourself out of the situation in order to analyze and get better.
Yeah.
Or go to the next level. You cannot be in the situation to go to the next level. You have to see from a third person's perspective. So meditation is not actually focus. Meditation is getting out of focus. So let things happen the way that they are supposed to happen.
So losing control versus
let it
going
happen.
and taking control.
Yeah, because meditation mein kya hai ki like when you are trying to, when you are closing your eyes, when the thoughts come in, don't try to control your thoughts. Let them flow the way that they want. But just a little reminders that you have, oh, I am in that state of meditation and I need to be self-aware. That little hints that you get during your meditation is actually self-awareness. And that self-awareness, that stretch of self-awareness, you need to stretch it even more and more and more over the period of time. And that's how you become a little more self-aware human.
Right.
So it is easily let the emotions come in. Let you be unfocused during all that time. You're thinking about coffee, you're talking about, अच्छा उसको call करना है, you want to collect the payment, ये करना है, वो हर चीजें आ रही.
Right.
But उसके बाद center yourself that I'm aware as a third person and look yourself from the third person's perspective. Similarly, it helps you in achieving whatever goals that you want to achieve. So, जब भी आप meditation regularly करना शुरू कर दोगे, you will realize that you're more calm. You're not reacting to the situations,
Right.
and it's just making things more smoother for you in reality in every phase of your life.
Right.
And this is what I found in my career, my relationships and everything, that
Right.
it just made me a little more calmer. छोटे होते मुझे जैसे सारे बोलते थे that you're a very angry human. अब मुझे लगता ही नहीं है कि मेरे में वो उस टाइप का एंगर है, because I've stopped reacting to the situation.
Right. Right.
अगर ऐसा नहीं है कि मतलब ये कोई थप्पड़ मारेगा तो आप
No, of course. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
लेकिन it's just that you need to analyze that where the other person is also coming from. Is
Yeah.
there a place to उसको calm down करना, या situation को react करने से better है कि that you give a little bit of a time in order to answer to that reaction takes थोड़ा सा time लगेगा, and maybe you will mellow down a little.
Right.
And I've seen that helped in every situation, no matter if it is your business, it's your relationship, it's
Right.
anything.
Right.
It helps.
Right. So it's about the calmness, it's about getting focused, it's about looking at yourself. And it's a very interesting perspective as well, looking at yourself from a third person's perspective.
Yeah.
Can you talk more about that?
Yeah, I think it's more about how you perceive yourself. तो वो अंदर से रह के नहीं समझ पाओगे कि how do you perceive yourself. You have to see from somebody else's lens to see that when you look at a person, तुम analyze कर लेते हो ना कि that, oh, this is how he dress up,
Right.
this is what he
Right.
thinks, this is how he looks,
Right.
and this is how he's
Right.
talking. तो ये इस type का personality develop कर रहे हो. So in order to even understand, who you are,
Right.
you need to just step outside your personality and think that who this person really is. तो वो self analyze करना बहुत ज़रूरी है for anyone. If you want to be more authentic to yourself, if you want to
Right.
be very real to
Right.
yourself.
Right.
So I think that made me realize, or still making me realize that,
Right.
how can I become a better version of myself? And the only way is that instead of asking for somebody else's opinion about it, why don't I just look my previous version and today's version, and what do I expect from the future version of myself?
Gotcha. No, thank you for sharing that. And now let's tie this to manifestation. Do you have any practices that you follow?
I have a gratitude journal that I started doing 3-4 years ago. I think that has been very helpful.
Okay.
Manifestation is great, which I recently did a podcast with Peter Token.
Yeah.
And he talked in detail about manifestation. And if you want a little more detail about, I think you should watch that podcast.
I did, sir.
You did?
I did.
It's so how it's so interesting to see that how little habits change your trajectory of the success that you want to achieve in your life.
Yeah.
And he has talked all about that. And there's one thing that he's talked about is everything that is happening will happen, and I have no control over it.
Yeah.
And everything is happening for you to make it. Will not make sense to you today, but it will probably make it sense. So let it happen the way that it is supposed to happen.
Right.
Everything is happening the way it is supposed to happen.
Yeah.
Ye aap gaant maar lo.
Yeah.
You and I are foolish if we are thinking that you and I control things. We don't.
Yeah. And I think he used very, very subtle words to say it as well. If I remember correctly, he said, "You're not doing things, you're being done."
You're being done.
So like we say it in different ways, like it's destiny, it's kismat, jo hona hai, wo to hona hi hai.
Yeah.
But like coming from somebody like him, I wasn't expecting that, to be honest. When I was watching the episode as well, I wasn't expecting him to say that, because the norm in the society is just 180 degree apart, right? Because people say, no, go out there and I do this and do that and take control of not only the situation, but your relationships, the people around you, your work. And now something very contrary coming from somebody that's successful, like it suddenly flips a switch in your head.
I think we develop a definition of success in our own minds looking at somebody else who is successful.
Yeah.
But if you ask that person, what is your definition of success? And that will just blow your mind.
Yeah.
Because it is not anything what you are thinking about.
Right.
So wahi cheez hai. Like if we are looking from the outside and we are thinking, oh, this guy is very successful and he might be giving me strategies and tools and tactics, this is how you need to be.
Right.
But inside he's like, no, these are just, I'm just a spiritually aware human being and I'm just grateful for putting me into those situations where I could perform.
Right.
And luck also plays a lot of role into this.
Right. Yeah.
So luck has to be equally given the chance. Like I was watching a Rohit Shetty ka podcast tha. I think he did it with Ranveer, and he was saying ki, like, I'm grateful that where I am today, मेहनत सारे लोग करते हैं, बट कुछ लोगों की मेहनत लक के फैक्टर से भी, किस्मत के चक्कर से भी वो exponentially grow कर जाती है. And he said that I'm aware of that. So I cannot deny the fact that not everybody is going to be as lucky as I am.
True.
So be grateful for that thing.
Right.
नहीं तो you will always think that मैं ही हूँ सब कुछ कर रहा हूँ. And that could also lead you to, instead of ups and downs of your life में आ ही सकता है.
Right. For sure. No, that's great. And I really liked this part of our conversation. And probably we'll come to that, in bits and pieces as we go along as well. So now, you were raised in Punjab. I think you were there for about 30 years.
Punjab?
Yeah.
No, Punjab mein to I think...
so India collectively, like 30 years of your life,
India
you were...
32 years.
32 years.
Yeah.
So what made you, come to Canada? Like, what was the probably driver of, or the reasons why you kind of looked to go beyond the boundaries?
Yeah. See, I think when things are not working out in your life, you try to look for some other ways to make things work.
Yeah.
And that is the only driving factor for somebody to change the current situation. If you're not happy with the current situation, what will you do?
Change
the situation.
Yeah.
And this is exactly whoever is coming to Canada, US, or kahin pe bhi jata hai, even leaving a village and going to a city, they want to change the situation. They don't want to be in the same environment. And this was the driving factor itself. You want better things. You are ambitious. You feel like that, you have more potential. Maybe things can work differently in a different environment. And it doesn't matter even if you start from scratch.
Right.
So probably that was going on in my mind during that time. Things were probably not working out as much as I hoped they would. And I realized, you know what, let's anyways, कुछ शुरू करना ही है तो फिर से scratch से करना, might as well start it from a new country altogether.
Yeah.
So
makes sense.
I think somewhere it is a kind of a superpower that if you can go to a new city, new country and start from scratch, the superpower is that you can be anyone and nobody will give a shit about it.
Right.
So today you could just stand up and say, I'm Batman.
Yeah.
If you're in a new city.
Yeah.
And I'm going to save the world. and
Right.
dress up like Batman.
Right.
But that's called an alter ego.
Hmm.
I built that alter ego when I came.
Hmm.
I thought that I'm someone.
Hmm.
And nobody knows me, nobody will give a shit about me.
Right.
Even if I do something
Right.
today,
Yeah.
tomorrow it will be forgotten.
Yeah.
Who cares? So I think that gives you that confidence कि जो आपने लाइफ में नहीं किया ना,
Right.
अब वो भी कर पाओगे.
Right. So I think I relate to what you're saying because being an immigrant myself, probably immigrated pretty much the same time as you did. It's given me a fresh start, or a chance to start afresh. And then even a lot of other people I know who immigrated roughly the same time, who were either doing very well back home or not doing as well. But now coming here, everybody started afresh. So it doesn't matter who you were and what you were doing back home. Here, we all start from scratch. And now it depends on how much of hard work you can do and how much of a push and drive you have and what you can make of yourself. So I think a lot of people will relate to that as well. So now you come here and how do things unfold then?
I think, again, like I told you, okay, I could be anyone.
Yeah.
So one day I became a Uber driver. One day I became a salesperson in chocolate store. Another day I became a car salesman. So I started my career like that only. And during those bigger things that I was doing, I started finding where my direction, my passion is. And that was around content and marketing. And I started doing for these companies that I was working with. And when I started doing for them, then I started doing for me. And then I started doing for other clients that I was working. So slowly and gradually, I found the direction that I wanted to go. But it was like by finding the most menial and ordinary jobs that you do. Because I didn't ever think कि मैं Uber drive, if I drove an Uber for the first 2-3 months or whatever, that, oh my God, I have to struggle to drive an Uber. I'm lucky to drive an Uber. I never got this opportunity to drive in India, right? Because you are judged when you're doing these kind of things.
Even here, but like
I don't
one
think so
shouldn't care as much.
It's not as much as here. It's just that कि अगर आप यहाँ पे बोलोगे आप Uber चला रहे हो अपने घर पे बताओगे वो अपने सोसाइटी को नहीं पता है ना तो मेरे ख्याल से वो एक प्रेशर है सोसाइटी का प्रेशर होता है बट आई फेल्ट वेरी comfortable doing things like these because it just helped me to expand my confidence, exposure और लोगों के बारे में पता. So I think if you are into any kind of a sales job, it just helps you to understand that country, that city, that town better.
Absolutely. And I think the skills that we gain through any sales experience, like irrespective of what you're selling, real estate, cars, or a TV, I think those skills are very, very, what's the word I'm looking for here, transferable. So irrespective of the product or the service, because it's ultimately people selling to people, right? So if you understand your client and their needs, and if you're genuinely coming from a place of helping them, I think you can do good in any sort of sales you do.
Yeah. Somewhere I think you helping also comes from the fact that you also want to be successful. So even if you want to help somebody else, कहीं पर आपको भी ये है feel कि that I want to be a better version of myself. I want to see myself successful. It's kind of impossible to see other person grow when you are not growing, or you see help other person when you are not helping yourself.
Right.
So internal self-realization ये भी होनी बहुत ज़रूरी है.
Right.
That in order to even help somebody else, you need to help yourself, which means you need to be better at sales. You need to be successful at the things that you're doing.
Right.
Only then you will be capable enough for helping somebody else. तो ये mind में I realize that कि मेरे को किसी को अगर help करना, I'd never thought that मैंने ज्ञान नहीं बांटना कि that what it should be all about him. No, it's first of all, everybody has a selfish reason to grow, and everybody must have that selfish reason to grow.
Right.
And then if you're coming, and because if your heart is at the right place, it's not wrong to see yourself successful and wanting to have good things.
Right.
Automatically, the kind of person that you are, it will automatically spread out, and you want to help other people too.
Right.
And that will depend on your values.
Right.
That will depend on your character. Personality can change, but character same ही रहता है.
बिल्कुल. बिल्कुल.
You
I
can
agree.
change your personality.
Yeah.
आप सूट
Yeah.
डाल के आ सकते हो, कल को हुडी डाल के आ सकते हो, personality change होगी लड़के की,
Right.
but character
Right.
वही रहेगा.
True. True. No. Well said. Well said. And so going back to now your Uber days or your sales days. So how did that transition happen from? So when you started or when you thought about, let's say, opening your own business, right? Squid Media now. How did that transition happen? Were you in a job when you decided, okay, one fine day I'll call it quits and then I'll start my own business?
So I think once you are always had your own business, तो आपका mind हमेशा यही होता है कि that you want to
Right.
start your own business.
Right.
So even though when I came here and I was working for someone, I registered my company not knowing what am I going to do with that. After a year, I started doing full time and I just left the job. But in between the period when I was working in car sales, I started my marketing business and I was already helping other clients, and slowly and gradually that took a more amount of money that I could make from that, and it made more sense to do full-time business in
Right.
that. So it just happened, very organic transition from that point of view.
And what was kind of your support mechanism during that time? So were you married back then? Yeah. And what did the wifey had to say about it?
She's, I think she's the most mature one out of the two of us.
Okay.
And however, she is 5 years younger to me. But I think she's my guardian angel.
Yeah.
So I feel कि sometimes मैं, because I'm ambitious and I'm always looking to, grow and all that.
Right.
And the best part is that she lets me do whatever I'm supposed to do. She'll never be holding me back.
Right.
She has never held me back.
Right.
Even if I'll go and take a loan of XYZ, she'll say, okay, fine, I know that. And I think that is because she believes in me more than I did.
Great.
So ये चीज होता है. And when you realize that you have that person who believes you more than you do, and that person loves you and supports you unconditionally, then there is no other way but to be a better version of yourself.
Right.
Things that you need to quit, things that you need to do, you automatically start doing that.
Yeah.
Because it's not fair to the other person who is relying and having so much of faith on you.
Right.
So obviously, like whatever things that I've achieved and I'm doing, I think it's all her support at the back end.
Great.
Yeah.
So as Mr. Torkin said, would you call her your spiritual partner as well?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think spiritual partners from ages.
So like now we're getting closer to our culture, right?
Yeah.
जो होता है वो 7 जन्म वाला concept.
I don't know 7 जन्म, शायद 80 जन्म होंगे या 100 जन्म होंगे. कभी मैं
Even
लड़का होगा,
better.
कि वो लड़की होगी, उल्टा होगा.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But somewhere, I think there are very few people in your life who understand your pain.
Yeah.
And it's not important that person is going to be your wife, your husband, your daughter, your friend. It could be in any form.
Yeah.
And if you have that person, I mean, don't let them go away.
Yeah.
So this is something I feel कि जो आपके लाइफ में spiritual partners होते हैं, वो एक जन्म से नहीं है, वो पता नहीं कितने जन्मों से आपके साथ.
I agree. I kind of concur with you on this. Without going into the theories that I or we believe in, but I agree. We're all kind of souls, and we have connections from not just maybe this lifetime, but multiple lifetimes ago. So yeah. If I remember correctly, you said you keep on stacking loans, or if you go for a loan, your wife agrees.
No,
Wasn't it like that?
It's not just that. Like if you're in a business, you have to be okay with debt. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
You okay? You have to be with debt. So there are two ways that you could think that why I'm talking about debt in that way. Number one is that you need to believe in yourself.
Yeah.
The confidence is not in the product or the service. The confidence is in you. When somebody's giving you the loan, they're giving it to you. And the second thing then comes that what is how do you think that actually that solution can help you grow and grow somebody else's money also at the same time. So I would say like the first loan that I took in Canada was I stood up in the random bus and I raised $25,000 out of strangers, and that were 40 strangers and
on a bus.
In a bus.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And and within 3 minutes, and I was like, holy shit! Like people are giving me money left and right. The only difference is, why were people able to give money to me and not to other people? Because most of the people don't ask for it. I asked for it. So forget about the banking loan and all that. That is a separate thing. But like if you, most of the time people are afraid of asking to other people. And most of that, you feel anxious is because you don't have faith in you. That whether you will be able to give it back or not, or what is the promise that you are giving, and where does that confidence come from, and how good are you in embarrassing yourself? When you're standing in the middle of the bus and asking from 40 strangers to give you money, you're embarrassing yourself. That's the first thought that comes to your mind.
Absolutely.
Right? And how many people would be ready to do that? So that's the thing. Like, not many people, even in the game of business, even in the game of social media, how many people are willing to stand in front of the camera? How many people are willing to go an extra mile for your client?
Right.
Similarly, how many people are ready to stand in the middle of the bus and ask for it? And that was, in fact, somebody told me, who gave me the money for the first time. He's a very good friend of mine now. And I go, why did you give me money? Like, how crazy is that? You're standing in the bus and somebody says, Sahas, take $2,000 from me. Somebody gave me 10,000. Somebody gave me, holy shit, what's this happening? I went to the first person and I asked him, why did you give me money? He said that you are ready to embarrass yourself. And I felt that I could trust this guy. So what is the metric? Trust.
Yeah.
Right. So I think, and the reason why I could do it is because I just believed in me.
You were ready to bet on yourself.
I was ready to bet on myself. मेरे हाथ में कुछ भी नहीं था यार.
Yeah.
I'm 6 months in the country. I don't even have a credit card limit of more than $1,000, and I'm raising $25,000. And I was able to make 5 times that money in the next 3 months.
Right.
And give it back, and then raise again. Right. So I think it's just a mindset game.
Wow. That's really crazy. Like, I wouldn't imagine anybody doing it, and I can't for sure imagine myself doing it. So kudos, and kudos to the people who actually believed in you.
Yeah.
Complete strangers believing in just another person on the bus. That's really something.
Yeah, I think. And my thought was, like, when I was talking about alter ego thing, my thought was that I'm just Batman for today. They will not recognize me tomorrow. If tomorrow, if they meet me on a street or something, they'll not recognize me. So what the hell? Let's just go forward and say a few things that I want to blab out of my mouth and see how it goes.
Yeah, and that's the power of starting afresh.
Yes.
Yeah. So now let's talk about Squid Media, a little bit more. So in simple words, I don't want to kind of tell what it does, because that's kind of what you're here for. But we know that you help a lot of clients, grow their brand, grow their visibility, grow their business through social media, right? So just elaborate on that a little bit. Yeah,
so I think we help any brand or personal brand to grow their business through socials. So that could be by making viral videos, by making, performance marketing based on what your requirements are. We just help you go viral and help you grow your revenue and sales and everything.
Right.
So we work with not just personal brands, we work with brands like who are in e-commerce, from consumer brands like, physical store products. So anything that is whatever is related to that kind of thing. Our expertise is in the videos.
Right.
That our expertise is into the creative thinking and the creative idea, what goes behind which will grab the attention and click that purchase or add to cart.
Right.
So our expertise is in that. So this is what we do with most of the brands that we work with.
So how does the flow look like? Let's say I'm a client, I come to you, and the goal is simple. I have 1,000 followers on Insta. I want it to be 10,000 in, let's say, 12 months time frame.
Yeah.
So how is that we go about?
What are you willing to do first of all to get there?
I'm willing to make videos.
Yeah. So how many?
One a day.
One a day. And what is your viewpoint of it helping you grow to that level? Like, how do you think it can help you grow to that level? If you're saying that you want to reach 10,000, just making a video is not going to do that.
Yeah.
What kind of videos are you thinking about? So I think what we usually do is that, instead of we answering to anyone's question, we let you answer your own questions.
Right.
Rather than we telling you, what, this is what we're going to do. We're going to do this and that. That is not what you're here for. I think it's more like an education when we do the consulting and when we try to understand your
Right.
needs, we try to make you understand your own needs through your own thoughts. Because somewhere everybody knows what they want,
Yeah.
but they just don't have a clarity.
Yeah.
How do they want it?
Right.
Right? So you know that you want 10,000 followers, but how do you want it? Maybe I'll say a few things and you, yeah, this is what I want. But then you'll say, no, I don't know whether I'll get it or not. So I think it's you having your own clarity of thoughts and what are you committing to do in order to get there? That will matter a lot.
Right.
How much does it mean to you? That will matter. If it is just about a number, I would say just do performance marketing and, if you want to grow your sales and all that, but you will never be able to build your own personal brand. You will never be able to make connection with the audience.
Right.
People will not know you from your face. They will know you who's the brand. They will just know you from the transactional point of view.
Right.
If you are in that kind of a business where you want people to recognize you, you want to build that kind of a relationship, then you must build your personal brand.
Right.
And how do you intend to do it? Not by copying somebody else. There could be place for people when you are referencing those videos and see that what you could do, but finding your own style. So wo style slowly and gradually aata. Then your expectations also matter. What are you expecting and what have you done already?
Right.
So you can only grow if we are very data backed. If you already have, let's say, 100,000 followers, there's enough data for me or my team to look into that, what's worked, what's not, and where we need to pivot. But if you're starting from scratch and you want to go to a 10,000, let's say, or even 1,000 followers, you still need to reverse engineer that. Do I have any data to figure out that I can get there? If not, then we'll have to throw a lot of balls on the wall and see what sticks.
What sticks, yeah.
And you need to be okay with us experimenting.
Yeah.
Which means quantity and quality goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
And for the first 2 months, we throw the ball on the wall and we see what sticks.
Right.
Because we are also trying to understand your personality. We're also trying to understand what is your capacity, where we can push you from being, because you cannot build your personality if you are just like an average person on social media. You've got to build some kind of a unique ability, unique proposition for people to realize.
Right.
And it's a wrong myth that people think that it's all about video editing. We are not even a video editing company. We are more of a consulting company.
Yeah.
We help you.
That's exactly what I was going to say when you were talking about asking the right questions. It sounded like a very consultative approach, right? It's not that, okay, you want videos, here's a few topics, come to our studio, we'll shoot 15 videos and off you go. It sounds more of a consultative approach where you kind of build out a plan which is actionable, and it sounds like it's long term as well.
Yeah, I mean, we don't give any people a false hope that everything just
you go viral in 3 months.
3 months,
Yeah.
Because it totally depends on that person's personality.
Yeah.
Like we talk about, there is a viral triangle. Your personality, the content, and the video edits will matter. If you're able to hit the two targets, you have some potential. Video edits and content, okay, great.
Yeah.
But if you are able to hit personality and content, or personality or video edits, that's a best approach. And personality means that, how can we make you unforgettable?
Yeah.
Even if it is a brand, even if it is a personal brand.
Right.
How do you make a brand unforgettable? So that proposition needs to be laid out. That plan needs to be made out in order to understand that what kind of an audience, what kind of a personality can engage with this kind of a person or a brand.
Right.
So that takes a lot of time. So a lot of people want a lot of things,
Right.
but they're not ready to put that kind of an effort.
Yeah.
So we need, that's why we slow the roll. And if once you have known, agar pata chal gaya ki ye karna hai, then it's just scaling.
Yeah.
And once we've gone, then it's just scaling.
Great. And in your experience, how long does it take for you guys to figure out, okay, Shay's come to you and you obviously don't know my personality. Like, we know each other, but you don't know the personality of a stranger who's just walking into your office. How long does it usually take for the team to figure out the personality type?
I think more and more conversations that we have.
Right.
So like we are very pro conversations and communication. So we'll keep bugging our clients here and there. Like the team is after them that, we want to get on a Zoom call. Because we want to understand what is in your head.
Yeah.
We really want to understand what is in your head. Like how does this plantation of an idea came into existence? We want to understand how do you think?
Yeah.
So it's like a psychology test for us.
Right.
And that takes like one test, second test, third test, assignment. One test, third test, assignment.
You're taking me back to school.
Yeah, it is that. And then, because it's not just for us to know, but it is for you also to know.
Yeah.
What is your capability?
Right.
And where do we help you break it?
Right.
What is your breaking point, and then you one step ahead of how do we go there?
Right.
So I think somewhere in between, somewhere we are able to break that in 1 month, somewhere we are able to break in 3 months. But on an average, we have seen somewhere results coming in the first 3 months or so.
Okay. And personality, I feel, also can be very subjective. And what I personally also believe in, that everybody has an audience, and it's not that, okay, Sahas has built a brand and because his personality type is this, but that's partially in my head because a certain type of people connect with Sahas more. Yeah. But on the other hand, if Shay goes out and does the same thing, sooner or later, let's say, given the right content, personality, and, what was the third one? Video editing.
Yeah.
Shay will have a different audience because those kind of people now connect with this person. So everybody has an audience at the end of the day. But coming to personality, what type of personalities do you feel have a better chance of making it, let's say, in terms of a brand with a higher visibility or with higher sales? So is there a specific personality type that does better than the others?
If you can make someone laugh, if you can make somebody entertain.
So you got to go back to your flirting days.
Flirting days, or like if you have a good comic timings, I think that definitely helps.
Okay.
So that is why, why do people go on social media and consume content? They're not going to learn something.
Yeah.
They're just lazily, they want to just laugh and, poke fun and see what happened in their life. So it's gossip.
Right.
It's entertainment. It's this and that. Nowhere it is education. It comes later. That is the second step.
Right.
So if you are genuinely a comedic guy or a girl, or if you have that capacity of entertaining someone, I think it becomes the one layer is less for you in that way. So which is why you'll see comedians are the number one performing content creators on social media.
Yeah.
Even RJs are very good on social media, radio jockeys.
Right.
Their career is literally speaking in front of a mic. There's not even a camera.
But
true. That skill is so transferable.
Yes.
If you can make me laugh just with your voice, imagine what you could do with face to face. That's why RJs have the best content on social media.
Right. Makes so much sense now. So you definitely seemed to have or figured out a formula, right, on social media. Now that, let's say I had to start my social media career from scratch, from day one, what would be your few tips or recommendations?
Just start. I mean, most of the people, 90% people will not even start. I was talking to one of my employees yesterday, and he was like, I have a resolution from 2025 that I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going, no, do it right now. 95% people will fail on their resolutions when they're in the starting of the year.
Yeah, because they wake up hungover and then now you have no motivation to go to the gym.
No, I feel that it is first of all that you are putting a lot of pressure in the future rather than doing it right now. So it's just you being lazy in saying that, from 2025, I'm going to do this.
Right.
It's a month-long gap in for 2025 to happen, or 2 months gap for 2025 to happen.
Right.
So if anything that you want to do, just do it right now. That's the best time to start. It wasn't yesterday, it's now. Start now. Because there's no competition for you. If you have not started, where's the competition?
Right.
So you need to see where have you started and how you are getting better and better. So recently I started MMA. So I've started doing Krav Maga, and there's a friend of mine who is also teaching me how to do it every Sunday that I do it. Now my point is not to become like him. My point is to become a better version of me. That how do I defend myself in those kind of situations? Right. And it's a necessary skill to have. I feel that just like working out. This is another thing that I thought that now is the time that I need to learn something, which could be a useful skill on the streets.
Right.
Not that I want to
Especially
go,
in downtown.
especially in downtown, but not that I want to go and start doing.
Of course.
But it's a confidence thing that you feel more confident.
Right.
For me, that's what I realized, that I want to be a better version of myself. Instead of thinking that 2025 I want to start the lessons,
Right.
I told them, let's do it every Sunday. Come to our gym. Let's start doing it. And now it depends on how consistent and disciplined are you for the game.
Right.
Like last week, he did not come. The other two people also did not come. I went myself and started doing, and I started recording a video for myself. It's like how badly you want it.
Yeah.
Similarly, it will happen in any kind of work or business that you are doing. If may that be recording videos, how badly you want it.
Yeah.
If you want it bad, then you will just put hell lot of an effort into it.
Right.
You remember when you were in the same mastermind when we were teaching. During that time, I was posting 2 videos a day. And those are like highly scripted, researched videos where, it was just draining the shit out of me. And I could feel and then we are doing that mastermind.
Yeah.
Then we are doing, a lot of other things.
Right.
Every day I was thinking that I'm going to burn out and tomorrow is my last day doing this.
Yeah.
But it was just me pushing my boundaries.
Right.
So again, how bad you want it.
Yeah.
If you want it, you will just put in effort or hire someone who could just, you could be more accountable to.
Right. Right. No, just the other day, I don't remember, whose words these are, but somebody said, are you interested or are you committed? So that's the difference. Like, are you interested in learning self-defense or are you committed to doing it? Because if you're committed, then, the actions you take, on a daily basis, in fact, on an hourly basis, will look very, very different than somebody who's just interested in it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a different way of saying the same thing. Great. So now let's talk about the different, let's say, social media channels. Now, we've touched upon the formula, I would say yes and no, because yes, there is a formula because you said it's personality, it's, the content as well as the video editing part of it. Personality obviously being very important. Now let's talk about the different channels, that people use. We have YouTube, Insta, TikTok. Like, is there, let's say, a particular platform that's better suited for a certain type of content, or would you say in your experience it's agnostic and it doesn't really matter?
See, when you're starting out, it really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Whatever you are feeling comfortable with. Like if I felt comfortable starting with Instagram, I just did that.
Yeah.
It was way too later when I started doing it on YouTube. And since I was creating short form, so I thought, why not just post it on TikTok as well?
Right.
So I'm not expecting that I'm pro TikTok day one, but slowly and gradually you will understand where your audience is coming mostly. The chances are, if you like one platform, your ability to grow on that platform is going to be faster.
Right.
It's just because that you have an affection with that kind of a platform.
Right.
You consume a lot. Another thing is that you have to start consuming content from a creator's perspective. I'm not saying that you just create and not consume. Consume from a creator's perspective. Every content becomes your method. What needs to be integrated in the next set of content that you want to create.
What do you mean by that?
Like when you are a consumer, you're just thinking of laughing.
Yeah.
Or smiling or feeling sad. When I'm a creator-based consumer, I'm thinking, why am I laughing? Why am I sad? Why am I emotional?
And then you try to replicate those same emotions.
Yeah. And that is again talking about, like we talked about spirituality, looking yourself from the third person's perspective.
Gotcha.
Similarly, even content needs to be looked from a third person's perspective.
Yeah.
Why this piece of content made you to smile? There was something about it. Was it the music? Was it the way that person said? Was it the tonality? Was it the content itself? Was it that extravagant personality of that person? So these things, you have to look into the details. I say to my team also that, the answer is in the details, not on the overall things. It's in the details, little things that we need to work on in order to make it to switch. No amount of editing can make you successful.
Right.
If you are not good in storytelling, you need to focus on the storytelling.
Right.
And that is what you need to consume and to see that how this person is telling a better story.
Right.
How do I learn from it? So I learned a lot from other people, how they are telling the story, not from the consumer perspective, but from a creator who's a consumer.
Right. Right. And I've heard a lot of people say that, okay, agar educational content banana hai na, to, Insta is probably a better bet. Or if you have to make controversial content, you have to say things that, are not the norm, then maybe go for TikTok. Would you agree with that?
No, you will find audience of every kind of content on any platform. It's not like ये platform सिर्फ उसी के लिए fit है. Educational, I would agree more like if it is on YouTube, because people go YouTube specifically with an intent to learn.
Yeah.
Instagram, but nobody wants to learn.
Yeah.
People want to watch cringe dance videos and do trends and all that.
Right.
Most of the content वही है.
Yeah.
There are very few pieces of content which are motivational.
True.
Maybe your algorithm is designed in such a certain way because you are consuming more of motivational content and educational content. That's why it is giving you that. But majority of creators are not educating you; they are entertaining you.
Right. And just a random question here, related but still random in my head. Are hashtags still a thing?
Oh no.
No, right?
Just don't think about it too much.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what I thought, because I've been putting like 20
Even
hashtags.
when it was something, I would still not give too much thinking about it.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't matter, man.
Yeah.
I mean, if you are focusing on the wrong metric. Your focus should be in the storytelling, in the content, and how to develop that kind of a personality which engages with the audience. Rather than I've never put hashtags, or even if I did 3, 4, 5, just which could be relatable. Now, to wo bhi ho gaya that you cannot follow a hashtag.
You can't follow a hashtag. Okay.
On Instagram earlier you could follow a hashtag and see, but now you can't even. So hashtags are being the most irrelevant part of the game.
Right.
Even if when it was, I would still say don't, sweat on that.
Right. Okay. And talking about YouTube now you've recently dabbled into it.
Yeah.
Going great so far. As you know, I've been stalking you for a few days for this podcast. So why YouTube first, and then why the podcast?
YouTube is a very interesting game. I'm inherently very much a YouTube person. Although I started from Instagram. I love YouTube from a creator's perspective. It just makes you a better storyteller.
Right.
However, short form made me a better storyteller if I think about that, because I was able to condense a large piece of information into a smaller chunk by providing the same kind of a value which was in a, let's say, 60 minutes podcast. So I learned from that perspective, how can I condense that information into a 90-second or a 60-second? That was my proposition when I started creating content on Instagram. But on YouTube, it's more like that, when I go on YouTube, I'm more remember those people. On Instagram,
they have a better mind share now.
Yeah. So Instagram is, I think, whoever is on Instagram and not on YouTube, you have a success bandwidth of 2 to 3 years. If you want to get recognized and you want people to know you by name, go on YouTube. You can remember more YouTube names rather than TikTok influencers or Instagram influencers.
So it's a long game.
It's a long game, because think about it in this way. I'm spending 90 seconds with you on a video, on a reel. We are doing this podcast.
Right.
We are having this interaction for 90 minutes. Or let's say 60 minutes. That's 1 hour. If somebody is consuming my content, he or she has been with me for 60 minutes for one content. And that was 90 seconds. Who do you think, which platform do you think that person is going to have more recall about that person?
Yeah, no, for sure.
Right? So recall ke point of view se, YouTube works better. And YouTube is just like, it just makes you a better creator, I feel. It's just because you are able to, dabble into nuances of like being a podcast host, or recording 10 minutes videos and see how the storytelling goes. However, I wanted to get into YouTube, but not with 10 minutes, because I know that I don't know whether I could do 10 minutes thing or not. So I thought that podcast is something that I could, because I'm inherently curious that, I know what I know, but how do I learn from other people and, their perspectives? It's so much who have learned. So from that perspective, I started doing YouTube by podcasting.
And how's the experience been so far with podcasting?
Lovely, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? I don't like going on podcasts anymore. I want to interview more.
Because the guests are doing most of the heavy lifting anyway, right?
The guests are doing most of the heavy lifting. Nahi. It's just that I get to learn so much.
Yeah.
I get to learn so much and from their experiences. Think about, मुझे ऐसा लगता है that there's a book that I'm reading.
Yeah.
In 1.5 hours
sure.
when I'm
For
in a
sure.
podcast, I'm just reading a book and it becomes so interesting. So, you know, ऐसे हो गया, highs हो गए, lows हो गए, मुझे tips दे रहे हैं, I'm writing it down, this is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So it's just that energy.
Yeah.
And somehow I've made their experience as my experience.
Absolutely.
So what happens? Their story becomes my story.
For sure.
We have talked about Peter Token in this podcast.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why? Because we plugged his story and put it into my story.
Right. Right.
This is what podcast does.
Right. Right.
Or any kind of a interaction does.
Right.
So tomorrow, if you're going to go and talk to some people and you're going to meet some people and networking, and you know, probably you'll not even say that, you know, Sahas said it, but you will say that, you know, Instagram mein hashtags don't even matter now.
Yeah.
You just plug that and put it into your story.
True.
And that's how you learn.
Right. Right. And in my view, like one thing that I've loved about, you know, doing podcast is the fact that in this day and age, when was the last time you sat for 90 minutes and spoke to one person who isn't your friend, immediate family member, you know, or a colleague?
Yeah.
But like we're none of those people.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's any other opportunity where we could have sat like this and probably known a lot of things about each other.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right. And that's one more thing that I love about podcasting is you get to know people.
Yeah.
Right. Not only their stories, but their personalities, you know, their experiences. So like that's one piece
you get the transparency in your perception also about that person.
Yeah.
Because you perceive somebody from a different lens.
Yeah.
But once you sit in front of that person and you're like, Arey yaar,
you're able to see them as a human.
As a human being.
Yeah. Not somebody on TV.
Yeah. So I think that helps you a lot.
Yeah, no, for sure. For sure. So how do you really go about, let's say, selecting the guests for the podcast?
I'm not looking for stories. That's my number one.
Not looking for stories.
Not looking for stories.
Okay.
So when anything that I do first, I say what are all the things that I don't want to do. So if you want to do
process of elimination.
These are the things that I don't want, because sometimes you don't even know where do you want to start.
Yeah.
But you know what things that you don't want. So I start eliminating the things that I don't. So number one for me was that I don't want any stories. I don't want any inspiration for people to consume my content from an inspiration perspective. I want people to consume my content from an education perspective. So if I'm getting somebody, they should learn something out of it. And that could be a hard skill or a soft skill.
Okay.
Right. So, or they're breaking that myth or they're breaking that belief system in some way.
Right.
Or so it's from that was number one for me.
And that's a very different stance than most other people, because we all know like inspiration sells.
Yeah.
Right. Inspirational speakers, like you go on YouTube and that's like a plethora of different people and millions of videos and it sells. So why did you decide that you don't want inspiration? Like education over inspiration, like where did that come from?
Yeah, inspiration is very time bound. It's very quick. If I can inspire you or somebody, it's going to be just for a fraction of minutes, hours, and think.
Right.
Like ek do din ke liye rahegi inspiration. But if I teach you something, that's going to stick with you for rest of your life.
Gotcha.
So it's like if you develop a skill, like we talked about, we was talking about Yasser, that I learned about that, you know, when I went to prison, visiting, it's such an important skill to learn that you realize that how to give your opening line. And that has just stuck with me. That is stuck with like 200,000 people, 500,000 people who have consumed this content. If you want people to learn something, like how do you perceive the transformation of your audience to be? Is it motivational? Is it like a skill, or is it entertainment? What is that transformation you are expecting your audience to have?
Right.
In your case, it could be inspiration. In somebody else's case, like a comedian or somebody entertainer, it's a laughter, good time with the family. And for me, like any other, like some other podcasts also, they're like education. I want people to learn out of something.
Right.
And learn by not even thinking that it is not something that you need to be of certain level to understand these things. These skills could be learned by anyone, from a layman, from a teenager to somebody who's done masters. and for anyone basically. So that's what I feel about.
Okay. And then coming back to the fact, how do you select your guests?
Skill.
So education, skill,
based on their skill. What is their skill that my audience can learn from them?
And that skill could be anything. Like it doesn't have to be from a specific industry or a trade. It could be
any skill from which. So like I've been creating content from that long ki you kind of understand your audience, that what they're looking for.
Right.
ठीक है ना? So I think understanding your audience takes a little bit of a time, spending time with them and the kind of content that you are creating.
Right.
And again, like it's a lot of experimentations, but you realize that this is the kind of content that your audience is liking. So I think my audience looks for where they can learn and they can, say that I have become smarter than what I was before.
Right.
I want to give that kind of feel. So even the tagline of my podcast is the podcast that makes you smarter. Even my content is the content that makes you smarter. So how do I think that they could be smarter is by giving them the skill which is like used in a daily life or something that they can make living out of it.
Right.
Inspiration से living नहीं होती, unfortunately.
Well, yeah, I partially agree with that. Okay, so now let's get to my trade. Like I want to be selfish for the next 5 minutes now. Now, a lot of realtors are on socials. What do you think is that they're doing? What is it that they're doing wrong?
You tell me.
I have no idea.
There are 80,000 realtors just in Toronto.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And there are so many content creators who are realtors. Who do you think is doing better?
No idea.
So you need to start consuming from a third person's perspective, like creator and who is a consumer perspective. That who is doing better? I think looking at your industry is also very important. Like who do you think that, okay, so like divided into 3 categories. This is like outlier, this is platinum, and this is gold or this is bronze. Like align that and think that what they are doing different than you or the other person. And you realize there are very few people who are doing outlier content or platinum content just because they're not trying to sell you. And this is the biggest mistake real estate agents make. They sell you.
When they try to sell.
They are not relational, they're transactional. They talk all about fancy words that we are relational, we do this. The moment when you are saying it, you are making a transaction.
Yeah.
And people don't want to be sold.
Yeah. No, that I agree with. That most of the content should be educational.
Not just educational. It shouldn't be educational.
If not educational, definitely not salesy.
Definitely not salesy. Salesy is also fine. It should be entertaining. If you are able to add an entertainment value into anything, it becomes a light humor, light-hearted, and even if you are trying to be salesy in that, it comes out, oh, this was a nice play. When you see an ad, when you see an ad on YouTube or anywhere, and you like that ad, they're selling you on something, definitely. Yeah. But you are like, this was smart. This was smart. So try to understand what will make that content piece make you feel smarter or make that person feel that, oh, this was smart. I was able to catch it.
Right. So I think we're again hitting the same theme that we were talking about earlier, which is laughter, which is humor, which sells more than perhaps any other emotion.
Yeah, so laughter is there. Then emotion, like when there is buying emotions are mostly buying. Like when people buy, they're based out of emotion, and emotion does help a lot in making a purchase. So like when you see a content piece which has there's a content piece that I made, what is the most surprising thing that you have learned in your life? And Sanjay, when I interviewed him, and he said that everything is going to be okay. When he said that, it was emotional. And that video got 1 million views. And just on one platform, so multiple platforms, different views. Why did it get it? Because it was emotional. People could feel it. People could feel the hope that he was giving in that video. That
especially in this time when people need it more than I think in the last few years.
So it wasn't educational. It was emotional. So emotion, entertainment, and somewhere emotion also falls in the category of entertainment. It's not like you always have to laugh, but it's a part of that you're sitting back and you're scrolling through, oh, this was nice. It makes you feel good. That is entertainment.
Yeah.
So if you're able to do that, then you could be a better content creator, and stop thinking that you are a realtor, a real estate, because then the moment when you start thinking from the perspective of a realtor, then you will not be ready to experiment. So start thinking that how can it be a better creator on social media. When you go from that point of view, now what are the things that you don't want to do? Eliminate. You don't want to do this, you don't want to do this.
I don't want to dance on camera.
Yeah. What else?
No, that wasn't me. I can dance on camera.
Okay, you can.
I was just giving an example. It wasn't about me.
So maybe you could try dancing. Maybe you could be the guy that, like somebody's doing push-ups or somebody's doing a deadlift and giving gyan. That is entertainment.
Yeah.
Like you're doing dumbbells and say, hey, here are the 3 things that real if you're buying a new house and up exercise kar. I mean, entertainment.
Yeah. Got it. So now I know many realtors would be thinking about reaching out to you at this point. So in case they want to, what should they do?
If they were looking for any services, then squidmedia.co, that's a website.
Okay.
And they can reach out there and fill up a form, and somebody from the team can reach out to them. If they want to reach out to me, then they can reach out to my email, which is hello@sahaschopra.com. And I try to always respond, or somebody from my team will definitely respond so that we can get in touch with something.
Perfect. Sahas, once again, thank you so much for doing this, for
Thank you
being
for having
here
me
today.
It was great.